This is Sarah, and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make my American flag style jar cozy. Now, I wasn't going to do a video today, but I had someone ask me if I had one that was similar to this, and I thought rather than trying to explain to her how to change the colors, I would show you. Isn't it fun? Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog, and that blog link is in the notes underneath this video. So what you're going to need to make a jar cozy like this is you're going to need one of the 16-ounce canning jars, and you can use the lid. And the way we poke the hole for the straw is we mark it with a marker. We take a screwdriver that's a Phillips head and hammer that hole through, and then rub that screwdriver around so you don't have any rough edges until the straw fits nicely. You can do it that way, or you can just take the lid off and drink right out of the top of it. Both ways work just fine. So you'll need a 16-ounce canning jar. The other things that you'll need are these 4 colors of cotton yarns. Now you can make this out of worsted weight number 4 acrylic if you want to. It works just fine, and the size is the same. The only difference is if you use cotton yarns, when those cold drinks sweat, the cotton yarn will absorb that moisture. So I'm going to be using red, white, blue, and a little bit of gold cotton yarn, and it hardly takes any at all, not even an ounce of each color, as you can see here. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook. The H hook is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need your needle for weaving in those ends and also stitching on our stars, and of course you'll need a pair of scissors. We're going to start with our red yarn, and then we'll be switching from red and white, then to the blue, and then to the gold, of course. But we'll be starting at the bottom. So we're going to begin with our red, and I've got my white right here so I can grab it when needed. We're going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 5 chains. We're going to join that in a circle. Snug that down and make that little stay knot. There we go. Now we're going to put our hook through, pull up a loop, and chain 3. And this chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. Now I'm going to be stitching over this tail of yarn, and I'm going to stitch 11 more double crochets. And if you don't remember what a double crochet is, yarn over your hook, go in your stitch or chain you're working, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. That's our double crochet. All right, now I'm going to finish making those 11 double crochets, stitching over that tail of yarn, and that's so we can easily close the hole in the bottom of our cozy or koozie, however you want to say it. All right, let's see how many I've stitched. Here's our chain 3 that counts as our first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I need 2 more double crochets. All right, now we're going to join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. And this is how your first row or round should look. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to just gently pull on that string, and that's going to close that hole. And then we'll come back in and weave this in later. But that way you can see you don't have a hole in the bottom. For row 2, we're going to be stitching 2 double crochets in each of those 12 double crochets. The chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the same stitch as that chain 3. There we go. And now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the 12 double crochets around. And so that's going to give us 24 double crochets. Our chain 3 counted as our first, and then we stitched in that same stitch. And then now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. And this is going to give us a nice flat bottom on our koozie because we don't want it to fall over, especially if we just poured us a nice cold glass of iced tea. All right, so like I said, I'm stitching 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around, and then I'll join to the top of the chain 3 here. Now I've stitched those 24 double crochets, stitching 2 in each one. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then I'm only going to chain 1. For this next row, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And a single crochet, you go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both of those loops. And we're just going to place 1 single crochet in each of the double crochets around. One single crochet in each single crochet around, and then we're going to join to the first single crochet, not the chain 1, but the single crochet. I stitched 1 single crochet in each of the double crochets around, and now I'm going to join to the first single crochet, not the chain 1, but the first single crochet with a slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3. Now on this next row, row 4, we're going to be stitching double crochets, but we're going to be stitching in the back loops only. And what that means is as you look on the top of your stitch, you can see there's a loop here and a loop here. The front loop is the loop that's facing you. The back loops are the ones that are facing away. And so we're going to be stitching 1 double crochet in each of these back loops. And this is just going to help our koozie stand up better and hold its shape. So I'm going to go in the back loop only and stitch 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And something you'll begin to notice as you're stitching in the back loop of each stitch is there'll be this line right here. And that is the stitch we didn't stitch in, or the loop we didn't stitch in. And that's just going to give us a nice little edge to help our cozy stand up better. So on this row, we're stitching 1 double crochet in each of the single crochets around, only stitching in the back loops. And we'll only do this on this row. Your stitch count will remain the same for the rest of the koozie. You'll have 24 stitches on each row from now on. I completed this row, and you can see that there is a line there all the way around that row, and that's, like I said, going to make your koozie sit better. All right, so I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3, with a slip stitch, and I'm not going to cut my yarn because we're going to be moving back and forth from white to red to white. And so when we're moving back and forth from those rows, we're not going to cut our yarn. We're just going to let it tail in the back. So I'm going to bring my white in, move that tail out of the way, and chain 3. Okay, so I've got both my yarns hooked up. Snug those down, and now I'm going to just place 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. We're no longer doing the back loop. That was just for that one row. And what we're going to be doing is going back and forth from the red and white, stitching 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around, and then join to the chain 3, and then change colors. And make sure that you change colors before you do your chain 3 that counts as the first double crochet, or you'll end up with a red stitch there instead of the white, and the same thing on the white. That's why we change colors before we do that stitch. So I'm just going to move around this row, stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join to the top of my chain 3. As you can see, I stitched that 1 row of double crochets in white. I'm joining to the top of my chain 3, and then I'm switching back to my red yarn. Now I call it tailing across the back, but I think the official term is trailing across the back. I've always called it tailing because that's the yarn tails, I guess. All right, so we're going to snug that down. Make sure this isn't pulling too tightly, but that it's not gaping, okay? And then we're going to chain 3. Okay, and then we'll just repeat 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And then we're going to repeat this until we have 3 white stripes. So we have red, white, red, white, red, white. So we're going to repeat it 2 more times. Red, white, and red, white. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Change to your white. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Join. Change to your red. Chain 3. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Change to your red, white, red, white, until you have 3 rows of white and 3 rows of the red. I completed my rows, red, white, red, white, red, white, just like this one. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3. And now I'm going to cut both my red and white yarn because I'm done with those for right now. And we're going to bring in the blue. And we're going to do 2 rows of double crochet in the blue, and then we're going to switch to some single crochet. So we're joining our blue. Where's that string? There it is. Snug that down. There we go. Chain 3 and repeat what we've done on these rows. We'll do 2 rows of the blue in 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And remember, our stitch count should still be 24 double crochets because we're not increasing. We're sticking to that same number. And we're going to do 2 rows of the blue in double crochet, stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3 for 2 rows of the blue. I stitched 2 rows of the blue in 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join, and then repeat. And now I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3. And on this row, I'm only going to chain 1. because we're going to do a row of single crochet. So we'll go right in that next stitch and stitch 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And I like to do this row a little bit tighter, just so it kind of brings the top of the koozie in just a little bit so it fits the jar well. So we're going to just stitch 1 single crochet in each of the double crochets around, working all the way around, and then we'll join to the first single crochet that we stitched. I stitched that row of single crochet. I'm joining to the first single crochet with a slip stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn, and I'm going to bring in my gold for the trim. And I like to use gold because it makes me think of when you see a flag with that gold trim on it, and it just adds a little extra elegance. Now if you want to do this row in blue, you certainly can. I just wanted to add just a little pop of gold at the top, just to represent that gold trim. So we'll go right in that first single crochet and stitch a single crochet, and we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets around. Then we'll join back to that first single crochet, and then we'll tie off. And we will have a few ends to weave in because we did a little color changing on this one, but not hard. So 1 single crochet in each single crochet around, and then join to the first single crochet and tie off. I stitched my 1 single crochet in each single crochet around with the gold. I'm joining to the first single crochet with a slip stitch, and I'm cutting my yarn. Tie that off, and let's just pull that to the back, or I should say to the inside. And now we do have a few pieces of yarn that we need to weave in, and we'll do that just a little bit later, but we'll use our needle, and I'll show you real quick. There we go. And we're just going to weave it in one way, going through stitches and fibers of the yarn. And then we'll go back the way we came. And I try to do that 3 times. That's why I leave just a little bit long tail, so that I can go one way, turn and go back the other way, and then turn and go back the other way. Give it a little bit of a pull and cut that off. And we'll need to do that with the gold ones as well as the red and white and blue ones. And we'll do that just a little bit later. What I want to show you now is how to stitch on these 3 stars. All right. Now you can add 1, 2, or 3 stars. You can add stars all the way around if you want to. And I'm going to cut off a long piece of yarn, about 18 inches or so. I'm going to thread that on to my needle. And the way we make these stars is just 3 long stitches. And so what I do is I'm going to go and center between these 2 rows. So I'm going to do the first one right here. I'm going to come up in the middle of that stitch. I'm going to leave that tail. And now I'm going to go below to the middle of this stitch. And then I'm going to go to the middle of the stitch over here. So there's 1 stitch. Now I'm going to go across, and then I'm going to come up on this side and go across this side. And I like the way that that looks with the long one underneath. And so I did 1. And what I did is I kind of grabbed that and did just a little loop so that it stays in place. like that. And then I just moved over a couple of stitches. So 1, 2, and I'm going to go right in the top of the next one there. And then I'll go down here and do it just exactly the same way as I did that last one. Like that. And then cross. And then I'll cross across. And there's another little star. I'll go in the back, stitch a little loop so that it stays put. And one thing to remember is don't pull these too tight, because this has to be able to stretch to get onto your jar. All right, let me make another one. I just did 3. You can do them all the way across if you want to. It's totally up to you how you want to do your stars. Or you can just leave them off and add buttons. There we go. Now just go to the back and do the same thing. Just make a couple of loop stitches, making sure that's going to stay put. All right, so now we have 3 stars on our koozie. All right, so how do we put the koozie on our jar? Here's our jar. I just turn it upside down. We take the straw out. And it's going to be a tight fit because that's what you want. And you just slide it on. And there is our new American flag style koozie. I chose a red and white striped straw. And now I'm ready for a nice big icy glass of iced tea.